Welcome to our deep dive, into escaping the busy idiot trap.
Okay.
You shared this book with us called Busy Idiots, Learn the Brain Science by Brad Marshall and Joff Outlaw.
Right.
And it really seems like you're super interested in learning how to manage tech and bosses and teams more effectively.
Uh,
And I gotta say, this book has really gotten me thinking differently already.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, like 72% of Australians unhappy at work last year.
Wow.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And that's actually from the 2022 Indeed YouGov Workplace Happiness Survey.
Hmm.
I think it's a real wake-up call.
Yeah, it is a staggering statistic.
Right.
And I think it really highlights the issue that the authors Brad and Joff dive into.
Yeah.
This feeling of being constantly busy but not necessarily productive.
Right.
And they argue that this obsession with busyness is a major yet unspoken problem in our modern workplaces.
And they use the story of John to illustrate this,
Oh, yeah, sure.
how easy it is to fall into this busy idiot trap.
All right.
John's week is just a whirlwind of back-to-back meetings and overflowing inboxes and a phone that's practically glued to his hand, even during family dinner.
Oh, no.
I'm sure many of us can relate to at least some aspect of John's, chaotic life.
Oh, absolutely.
I know I've definitely had those days where I feel like I'm running on a hamster wheel.
Totally.
Yeah. But the book doesn't just point out the problem.
Right.
It offers a solution.
Yeah.
The Sustainable Tech Blueprint.
Okay.
It's a 5-stage framework for taking back control.
I like it.
And what's particularly relevant for us today, I think, is the second stage,
Okay.
sustainable knowing,
Interesting.
where the authors shed light on how tech companies subtly manipulate our behavior to keep us hooked.
Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit,
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting.
yeah.
They talk about persuasive design, which basically means using psychology to influence how we act.
Right.
And I gotta admit, when I read about this, I started looking at my phone in a whole new light.
Really?
Yeah, all those notifications and those addictive games, and the endless scroll of social media,
Oh, yeah.
it all suddenly felt very calculated.
It is. It is very calculated.
Yeah.
The authors break down these tactics with some really fascinating examples,
Yeah.
like Bartle's taxonomy.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this?
I have not.
So it categorizes people into player types,
Mm-hmm.
achievers, explorers, socializers, and killers.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows how apps are designed to exploit these tendencies.
Oh, wow.
So if you're an achiever
Yeah.
who loves collecting points,
Okay.
you're more susceptible to apps with badges and leaderboards.
So that conference app with the leaderboard for most interactions
Exactly.
isn't just a fun little feature.
Right.
It's subtly pushing engagement for the sponsors.
Exactly.
Wow. I mean, how many times have I gotten sucked into a game like Angry Birds,
Right.
chasing those dopamine hits from near misses?
The near-miss effect
Yeah.
is another one of these persuasive design tactics based on gambling psychology.
Oh,
You
wow.
almost win, so you get that dopamine rush that makes you want to keep playing,
Mm-hmm.
even if you're getting frustrated.
Right.
And then there's social media.
Oh, yeah.
The authors explain how the carefully curated images we see online
Mm-hmm.
fuel social comparison theory,
Okay.
making us feel inadequate and envious.
Yeah.
And the hyperpersonal effect, where online interactions can feel more rewarding than real life,
Oh, interesting.
further distorts our sense of self-worth.
So it's like a recipe for anxiety and dissatisfaction.
It is a recipe for anxiety and dissatisfaction.
But by understanding these tactics, I guess we can start to recognize them
Right.
and make more conscious choices about how we interact with technology.
Exactly.
So how do we break free from this tech grip?
Yeah, good question.
Do those built-in features like do not disturb and screen time actually work?
Well,
I have to admit I've set those limits before, only to find myself overriding them minutes later.
yeah, the authors acknowledge the limitations of those features, and they suggest stronger measures,
Like what?
like physically separating from your devices,
Oh, wow.
using a dumb phone for focused work.
Oh, interesting.
They even have this tech fit self-assessment quiz
Okay.
that can help you pinpoint your own tech habits and identify areas for improvement.
Now that's something I think we can all benefit from.
Yeah.
So for those listening, take a moment to consider, what's one small change you could make today to reclaim control over your tech?
Yeah?
Maybe it's turning off notifications for certain apps
Uh-huh.
or leaving your phone in another room during work hours.
Good idea.
Just something to think about.
Right.
Yeah,
Small steps.
exactly.
It's fascinating how this whole conversation about persuasive design
Yeah.
links back to the brain science stuff the authors discuss.
Right.
Remember neural pruning?
Mm-hmm.
The process where our neural pathways,
Yeah.
they kind of like weaken when we neglect certain skills.
Oh, right. Yeah, they talked about how constantly bouncing between tasks and distractions
Yeah.
actually makes us worse at focusing and thinking deeply and having meaningful conversations.
Exactly. And it really makes you wonder, like, are we inadvertently pruning those essential neural pathways for deep work and meaningful connection?
Yeah.
By spending so much time reacting to notifications and chasing, those fleeting dopamine hits from our devices.
That's a scary thought. It's like we're trading our ability to focus and connect
Right.
for the ability to multitask and react quickly,
Right.
which in the grand scheme of things might not be the best trade-off,
Yeah, I agree.
especially when the authors highlight the rise of loneliness
Right.
and its impact on our well-being.
It's a real concern.
Yeah.
And they make this really compelling argument that the decline of face-to-face interaction, those moments where we release oxytocin, the social connection hormone,
Right.
is a major contributing factor.
Yeah.
We might be more connected than ever digitally,
Right.
but it's not the same as genuine human connection.
It's like we're replacing those rich, nuanced conversations with quick texts and emojis.
Right.
And our brains are paying the price. I have to admit, I've been thinking a lot about those oxytocin boosts since reading this book.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
What if we viewed those face-to-face interactions
Yeah.
as essential brain food,
Hmm.
just like eating healthy and exercising?
Interesting.
Maybe we'd be more intentional about scheduling those coffee dates and family dinners
Right.
and those social outings.
You're right. We need to prioritize those moments of genuine connection.
Absolutely.
Now, this kind of brings us to another big topic that the authors tackle,
Yeah.
the modern workplace.
Yeah.
With the rise of work from home and hybrid models, it seems like the lines between work and life are getting blurrier than ever.
It's true. The authors actually delve into this.
Yeah.
They acknowledge the benefits of remote work, like reduced commute times and increased flexibility, but they also highlight the potential downsides. They even pose the question, like, is working from home ruining our employee engagement?
Whoa, that's a bold statement.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the flexibility of working from home,
Sure.
but I can also see how it can lead to isolation and burnout if you're not careful.
Absolutely.
And the authors are spot on about the potential erosion of those essential social skills we were just talking about.
It's true. They don't offer a definitive answer to that question,
Okay.
but they do encourage both individuals and organizations to be mindful of the potential pitfalls of remote work and to find ways to mitigate them.
So scheduling regular in-person meetings or team-building activities
Exactly.
could be crucial for maintaining a strong team culture, even when working remotely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of technology shaping the future of work,
Yeah.
the authors also bring up AI
Mm-hmm.
and its potential to become, well, a bit of a busy idiot accomplice.
Oh, no.
They paint kind of an unsettling picture
Okay.
of a world where we're constantly bombarded by prompts and reminders from AI assistants.
Oh, wow.
Managing our schedules, taking notes,
Yeah.
even generating ideas for us.
Yeah.
It's like we become slaves to these digital overlords,
Uh-huh.
constantly reacting instead of thinking for ourselves.
Right. It's like the busy idiot trap on steroids. They even gave this hypothetical AI assistant a name, Jen.
Jen, right.
Right.
It's a clever way to kind of personify this potential problem.
Yeah.
And the authors suggest this framework,
Okay.
the 4Ds,
Okay.
to help us decide when to use AI strategically.
Okay.
Dear, dangerous, dull, or deletable.
Hmm.
It's a way to ensure that AI enhances our work and doesn't dictate it.
I love that framework. It reminds us that AI is a tool,
Exactly.
not a replacement for human ingenuity and connection.
Right.
So using it for those dear tasks like complex data analysis
Yeah.
or dangerous tasks that pose risks to humans makes perfect sense.
Right.
But relying on AI for tasks that we could easily do ourselves.
Right.
Or worse tasks that could be eliminated altogether.
Yeah.
That's just feeding into the busy idiot cycle.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance.
Now let's shift gears for a moment
Okay.
and talk about something that's probably close to many of our listeners' hearts.
Yeah.
Finding that elusive work-life balance, especially with the demands of family
Right.
and, well, just wanting to have a life outside of work.
Totally. I think we can all relate to that struggle.
Yeah, especially with the always-on mentality that technology seems to perpetuate.
Yeah. The authors use Chris and Courtney, a couple who initially embrace their company's unlimited leave policy
Okay.
to illustrate this challenge.
Yeah.
They end up working more, not less,
Oh, wow.
because the boundaries between work and personal life become completely blurred.
Their story is a cautionary tale about the importance of setting clear boundaries,
Yeah,
even if your work culture doesn't necessarily encourage it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the authors offer some really practical advice
Yeah.
for reclaiming control over your time and well-being.
Okay.
Remember the concept of creating a home castle.
Oh, right. That's about having a designated space for work. That's separate from your personal space
Exactly.
to help create that mental and physical separation.
Right. And they also stress the importance of scheduling downtime, protecting it fiercely from those work emails and notifications that always seem to creep in.
It's about reclaiming those precious moments for yourself and your loved ones.
Yes.
Whether it's enjoying a hobby, reading a book, or simply relaxing without feeling the need to be productive.
They also talk about mindfulness,
Yeah.
being fully present in whatever you're doing,
Uh-huh.
whether it's cooking dinner or having a conversation with your partner.
I know I'm guilty of multitasking and trying to squeeze in work emails while spending time with my family.
Right.
And it just makes me feel stressed and disconnected.
It's so easy to fall into those habits.
It is.
And the authors remind us that those face-to-face interactions, like family meals,
Yeah.
are crucial for releasing oxytocin and building strong bonds.
Uh-huh.
They even suggest a no phones at the table policy,
Oh, I like that.
which I think is brilliant.
It's about creating that space for genuine connection and conversation.
Exactly. And let's not forget the importance of sleep exercise
Yeah.
and connecting with friends.
Right.
You know, the authors stress that when we neglect our well-being,
Yeah.
we're more likely to fall back into those busy idiot patterns.
It's all interconnected.
It is. Speaking of interconnectedness,
Okay.
they also address the challenges of raising kids in a world that's saturated with technology.
Oh, that's a whole other layer of the busy idiot trap, right?
It is.
It's like we're constantly battling those persuasive design tactics,
Right.
not just for ourselves, but for our kids too.
Exactly. And it's especially challenging because their brains are still developing,
Right.
making them more susceptible to those dopamine hits and addictive features.
The authors offer some helpful strategies for parents.
They do.
Like setting clear limits on screen time, using parental controls, and most importantly, modeling healthy tech habits themselves.
Right.
Kids learn by watching us.
Absolutely.
So if we're constantly glued to our devices, they'll pick up on those habits.
They also suggest having open conversations with kids
Yeah.
about online safety, privacy, and responsible tech use.
Uh-huh.
It's about empowering them to navigate the digital world safely and make informed choices.
One of the things that stood out to me was the suggestion of using a mesh router system to manage home Wi-Fi.
Oh.
You can create profiles for different family members and set time limits and restrictions for specific devices.
It's a practical way to create those boundaries
Yeah.
and protect those precious family moments from tech intrusion.
You know, it's amazing how all of these topics, tech, work, family, personal well-being,
Yeah.
they're so intertwined.
They are.
It's not about tackling them in isolation.
Right.
It's about finding a holistic approach
Yes.
to escaping the busy idiot trap and creating a life that's both fulfilling and meaningful.
And that's what the authors emphasize in their concluding thoughts,
Yeah.
which we'll dive into in the final part of our deep dive. They offer some practical takeaways and inspire us to reject the busy idiot mentality, one small step at a time.
Wow. We've covered so much ground in this deep dive.
We have.
I feel like my brain is buzzing with new ideas and insights.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. It's like we've peeled back the layers of this busy idiot trap and exposed all the sneaky ways it infiltrates our lives.
Right.
But now as we move into this final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
let's shift our focus to the author's concluding thoughts.
Sounds good.
And really distill those actionable takeaways
Yeah.
that you can apply to your own life.
Because ultimately, it's not about just understanding the problem.
Right.
It's about making real, lasting changes
Exactly.
that lead to a more fulfilling and productive existence.
And I have to say, the author's vision for escaping the busy idiot trap is both inspiring and empowering.
I agree.
They remind us that true happiness and fulfillment come not from being busy,
Right.
but from focusing on what truly matters. Meaningful work, strong relationships, personal well-being, and making a positive impact on the world.
I like it.
It's a powerful reminder that we have a choice in how we spend our time and energy.
Absolutely.
And they challenge us to imagine a world where we're not defined by our busyness,
Okay.
but by our values, our passions, and our contributions.
I like that.
What if, instead of bragging about how busy we are,
Yeah.
we proudly declared, I'm fantastic. Thanks, not busy at all.
I love that statement.
It's a declaration of our commitment to prioritize what truly matters.
It is.
It's a rejection of the cult of busyness
Uh-huh.
and an embrace of a more intentional, fulfilling way of life.
Imagine the shift in mindset,
Yeah.
the freedom and clarity that would come from truly owning that statement.
It's almost like a mantra for a more mindful existence.
Yeah,
And the
thank
best
you.
part is the authors acknowledge that we don't have to do it all at once.
Right.
Small incremental progress is still progress.
Every hour we reclaim from mindless scrolling or unnecessary media is an hour we can invest in something more meaningful,
Right.
whether it's connecting with loved ones, pursuing a hobby, or simply resting and recharging.
It's about making conscious choices each day.
Yeah.
Even if they seem small,
Uh-huh.
that add up to big changes over time.
Absolutely.
And the authors don't just leave us with this lofty vision.
Right.
They provide a wealth of resources to support us on this journey.
That's great.
They have a website, social media accounts, even their LinkedIn profiles are accessible,
Wow.
demonstrating their commitment to helping others break free from the busy idiot trap.
That's awesome.
They truly walk the talk.
Yeah.
And it's inspiring to see them putting these principles into practice in their own lives.
For sure.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious to hear what stands out to you from our discussion.
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, what resonated with you the most?
Mhm.
What are some key takeaways you'll be applying to your own life?
Well, I've personally had so many aha moments during this deep dive.
Neat.
The concept of persuasive design and how subtly it influences our behavior was a real eye-opener.
Right.
I'm definitely going to be more mindful of those tactics
Yeah.
and make a conscious effort to reclaim control over my tech use.
For sure. And that vision of confidently declaring, I'm fantastic, thanks, not busy at all.
Yeah.
That's something I'm going to strive for. What about you?
For me, it's the reminder that busyness is a choice and that true fulfillment comes from aligning our actions with our values.
Uh-huh.
It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of tasks and distractions.
Oh, yeah.
But we have the power to step back, reevaluate our priorities,
Yeah.
and make those small but powerful changes
Right.
that lead to a more meaningful existence.
Right. And remember, you're not alone on this journey.
Yeah, we all have moments
We do.
where we fall into the busy idiot trap.
Absolutely.
The key is to be aware of it, to challenge those patterns,
Uh-huh.
and to keep striving for that balance between
Mhm.
productivity and well-being.
Beautifully said. I hope this deep dive has empowered you to reclaim your time, your sanity, and your life from the clutches of the busy idiot trap.
That's the goal.
Until next time, we'll be present and be anything but busy.